Hey guys, welcome to another live show, another live Chino's Arsenal. Make sure you guys are liking the video and subscribing to the channel. And most importantly, getting into the chat and letting me know what you guys are thinking about Arsenal's 3-0 win over Slavia Praha in the Champions League. Another clean sheet, a Merino brace, a pretty straightforward business as usual performance from Arsenal today. So we're going to go ahead and get into it. I just need to have the other games on right now. 2 seconds just to pop these up real quick, because obviously there are huge games coming on in like 2 minutes. So I just want to make sure that I'm prepared. Okay. I want to say that I feel like, and you guys let me know what you guys think, but as frustrated as I can be at times with Mikel Merino and Leandro Trossard, they are so important to this team. And I feel like, if I will speak for myself, that I need to appreciate them a lot more, because we do have quite a few injuries. We are missing a handful of players, especially in attack, and Gyökeres and Martinelli, Madueke, Odegaard, and Kai Havertz and Jesus. And these two players are definitely squad players, but they come up with big GA kind of consistently. With Trossard in particular, he for me has been one of the best squad players that we've had at Arsenal, full stop. You know, for a long time, we really could not trust squad players to come in and make a difference. It felt like if you put them in the game, nothing would happen. But Trossard seems to consistently get this GA. And whether it's just he's stepping in for a starter and putting in solid performances, or coming up with big goals like he did against Porto or whoever, I just think that these players are so important and they deserve more respect. Even if we don't want to see them all the time, I get that. But, you know, they may have their flaws, but I think a lot of teams would love to have a Mikel Merino as their third striker. They would love to have Trossard as their third left wing. These players are playing at a high level. They play for their national teams. They score lots of goals, they get assists, and they're reliable fitness-wise, you know? So I wanted to start off by saying that, because I think this entire game for me just was basically about them. And even with Trossard, he had a really good performance, I felt, against Burnley too. And it's when has those bad games, people are really loud and like desperate to get it in and stick it to Trossard. And I told you he's no good. But they're a lot more quiet on days like today, where second half he puts in the perfect low cross at the beginning of the second half for Marino's really nice goal, and it pretty much puts the game out of reach. Now, we were the beneficiary of a European handball today, and I feel nothing, because we were on the losing end of that against Inter. Merino was harshly, I think, just in general, in terms of the way handballs come about, not due to the rules, but just in general, like hard done by against Inter. And I feel like this was a very similar situation where it was a European handball. Saka slots the penalty away. We're up 1-0. Right after halftime, Merino scores, and then he scores again. Did they get a shot on goal? I didn't even check. If they did, I didn't see it. That's what we're counting these days. Did they get a shot on goal? Let me just look real quick. They did. They got 3 shots on target. When? When did they get 3 shots on target? But it doesn't really matter because we beat them anyway. But they got some shots on target, but we still maintained our clean sheet. I'm not going to lie, when the referee called the penalty, I was more mad than I probably should have been, because obviously they weren't going to score any more than the penalty if that it had stood. But I was like, damn it, there goes our clean sheet. It's gone. There goes our clean sheet. But Ben White definitely gets the ball. It was never a penalty. And I think at certain points, the referee did get influenced by the crowd and the atmosphere and was giving away some yellow cards. I'm glad that Declan Rice didn't get one, or else he would have been suspended for Bayern. So I think all in all, this was a very positive game for Arsenal because we're dealing with lots of injuries and we just kind of need to get into the international break and allow some of our players to recover. But it's days like today where I really appreciate the likes of Trossard and Merino because they came up big when we just needed to kind of like get through the game. We're talking about bringing on Max Dowman as the next person up attack wise because there is no Martinelli, there is no Madueke, there's no one. Like we're not bare bones, but we're close to it. So I just want to put that out there. That was my main takeaway of the game, and I'd love to know what your guys' is, and I'll go ahead and get into the comments. Jordan says, did you lot see Merino's first goal? How does he score goals like that? He scores goals better than Haaland in some of the world's best strikes. He was great, I thought, in terms of, I wouldn't say great, but I would say that I think his finishing is really, really good. And when you get him farther away from our goal and closer to theirs, he's such a better player, right? I think where maybe he was frustrating today was more with holding the ball up, but beside that, he did the job that he was meant to do. Come in there, he's our third striker option, and he scored a brace today in the Champions League. So there's a lot of people would love to have Merino on their team, but that was a really good finish. That was a really good finish. Tachukwu says Merino is slow, but has elite goal sense. Johnny says there's no bare bones, just one game and everyone's back. Everyone's back. Joel says on Champions League app, they had 0 shots on target. I don't know why Google says shown 3. That's what I'm saying. Where did these shots on target come from? Because I didn't see them, but I'm not going to fight it. It's okay. Kay says Eze was on the bench, by the way. Eze was on the bench, but I think, Eze probably needs a rest. He's been played I think, because he played against Brighton as well. He played against Burnley. He really hasn't been getting a lot of rest, So I think Eze needs some time out. And I think this was a good game, a good enough game for Ethan to come in. When I was on Loose Cannons, I said that I would have started Eze. But Ethan starting, you guys know I love Ethan. So anytime that he plays, I'm like happy. I don't know if I felt like that was his best game ever. It definitely wasn't, but it was more minutes and I think he did okay. So there's that. Mata says, I always get scared watching Saka play the whole game after his injury. I think this is another rough one for Saka, if I'm honest, but it is what it is. Victor says, if we just create chances for Merino, he will bag. You don't have to be prolific scorer to get goals. Just get into scoring positions and get continuous chances. And the cross from Trossard, again, this is the second cross that he's put in, like in consecutive games that were like they were perfect. The cross for Declan Rice against Burnley and the cross today. 2 really good assists. 2 really, really good assists. Let's see. Congrats to our boys again. They did really well today. That referee was so poor. I thought he was weird. Like he was moving weird. Like he just seemed, I thought he was getting influenced by the crowd and all that kind of stuff. I was really looking at him like, yeah. He wasn't the worst I've ever seen, but I think he was influenced. Sola says, I hope that Bayern, PSG, Liverpool, and Madrid all play to a draw. It will favor us a lot. I haven't really thought of it that way. I was just kind of thinking I want to see the best possible football I can because these are really big matchups and I'm kind of expecting a lot. I feel like the Barcelona PSG game was a little bit of a letdown earlier on in this group phase. So I'm hoping that Bayern PSG is a little bit better. But I'm just hoping for chaos. That's really what I'm hoping for. I think we make the top 8 no matter what. If I'm honest, I really am not really nervous about making top 8 at this stage, but I understand looking at these fixtures and thinking these are 4 teams that are definitely going to be vying for those 8 positions as well. And if they all drop points, that's beneficial to us. So I definitely see why you would say that. And I think I agree. I just want maximum chaos on the way to those draws, if it makes sense. Ash says, at least he was humble enough to cancel that shit penalty. Listen, VAR had to help him with it. It was never a penalty. Ben White got the ball, and that's the good part about about VAR when it gets it right like that. Sunderland is going to be tough. We should buckle up. It is going to be tough, but it's good that we could have a game like today where we didn't really have to get out of first gear, win 3-0 with no injuries, hopefully. And we'll just see what happens on the weekend. We just have to take it one game at a time. I think the Sunderland game is difficult because it's the Stadium of Light. They're playing really well. We know Xhaka is going to be he's going to be practicing the Xhaka boom. You just know it. In fact, it's on my bingo card. Xhaka boom against Arsenal. That's all I'm going to say. But we just have to take it one game at a time. I think, Sunderland are good defensively. We're good defensively. But we should have the edge, no matter what. We should have the edge on them. So just one game at a time. DJ Den says Max Dowman record breaker. He's just, he's so good at just getting past his man. I think once he gets to the point where he makes the right decision after he deletes the guy, he'll be fantastic. But I don't have any expectation of him being anything other than what he is right now. He's just, anytime he gets out there on the pitch, I just enjoy what I get to see, if that makes sense. So I'm glad that he got some minutes. He is definitely a record breaker. And we love Max Dowman. I'm actually happy that we have no injuries. I didn't even care about the win today. Honestly, I wouldn't have cared if we drew as long as we had no injuries. We really just need to get into international break. The Athletic is saying that they're hoping to get both Gyökeres and Martinelli back for the North London Derby, but I'm also hoping that one of Madueke or Kai or even maybe both come back because, yeah, we need more than just those two, I think. But hopefully after international break, we get some good news. That's what I'm hoping. I was annoyed when they tried to give that BS penalty. I was too. First, I was just like, it was just so innocuous. We did not need to do anything. It was like, at first I was thinking like, oh, it's kind of silly to give that away right now. But then when you saw the replay, it was clear that Ben touched the ball. So yeah, I'm glad that we didn't have to suffer that penalty, but we still would have won the game. We just want the clean sheets now. We're so spoiled. Boy says, people are actually worried about injuries. We already in the injury crisis. MN says, surely Arsenal are winning a major trophy this season. The football gods best not get sassy. We definitely are due. We need to be winning something this season. So that's all I really care about is winning something. And when I say something, I mean like a major trophy, obviously. So hopefully we get there. Amadou says Gabriel is so good, our best player this season yet. I think Gabriel is, he's our player of the season so far. He's super consistent. He's a leader back there. He always has the ever-changing fullback, and I think he does really well too. With that situation, it's Calafiori, it's MLS, it's Hincapié. There's always somebody different over there. So his situation is always changing, where I feel like Saliba's is more consistent. In fact, the entire left side changes all the time, and I think he does well with that. Gabriel is fully matured and is experienced and is in his prime, so we almost take him for granted at this point. But yeah, he's our best player of the season so far, and he's our most influential in both boxes. So yeah, he deserves a lot of credit. Victor says Gabriel's head was hot on the initial pen decision. It was. I think I like Gabriel's kind of in between, feisty and also calm at the same time. He doesn't let it ever boil over too much at times. Like, I think at first, like, he was so passionate and so young that he would let some things get him out of his game. But I like that he has like that perfect temperament between like, don't test me because I will go there with you, but like, I'm not going to get sent off or do something silly. I like that about Gabriel. He's really matured. DGS says, I can't. We are this good with such a huge injury list. Imagine how great we'll be when everyone is back. Yeah, I think, listen, I prepped myself before the season started with the idea that I don't actually think there's ever going to be a situation where everyone is back. I think there's always going to be somebody out. It's just modern football and the amount of minutes and just the way the injury gods do things, right? But I think once we get like maybe 2 or 3 back, we'll definitely be in a much better position. But yeah, we're not at the bare bones, like I said, but we're in our third choice DM. We're at our third choice striker. We're at a third choice left wing, and we're still doing well. So there's that. James Bond says, Jess, you should text Jordan now and say, see, just believe. I did say that we would win 2-0, and we ended up winning 3-0. They were dooming the Slavia Praha game, and I'm like, why are you guys dooming Slavia Prague? Like, we're going to beat them. We're going to beat them. Like, I'll let you guys know when it's time to doom. It's Slavia Prague is not the time to doom. Victor says, Gabriel is so mature. He's the perfect blend of control and ferocity. Look at how he never does any rash tackles. Enderman says, imagine being a CDM and converting into a pure breed striker when your team needs it. Mikel Merino, baby, loving my Gunners and loving the season so far. Come on, you Gunners. Joel says, I think Bayern lose their first game today. Laugh out loud. 88 miles per hour says, I mean, Jokeris wasn't needed today. Boy says, people are worried about Slavia. You're joking. Ozzy says, I remember this channel and comments were all complaining about Arteta just a couple months ago, saying that he buys the wrong players. I think, context needs to always be used. He was playing Merino in midfield and we dropped points in 2 games. And then he stopped playing Merino over Eze and we started to play much better. And now Merino is playing less minutes. And if he is playing, he's coming in at striker. So even though I understand what you're saying about like people were really upset about Merino, it wasn't that they were upset that Merino exists and plays for Arsenal. It was he played in midfield. He wasn't very good at it. It was in very big games and Eze was on the bench. You know what I mean? So context is key. And it's not like we didn't show up to Newcastle St. James's Park with a complete without Merino in midfield when he was available. So context is key. And I do think that Arsenal fans were justified in being frustrated by those 2 results. Becca says, I see a lot of things today about Arteta's game management. We see that Arteta is going to improve himself anyway. I'm so excited. He's managing the season really well. I think Mikel Arteta is managing the season really well. I think it helps that he has a lot more options, but I think the way that he's taking players off, keeping saving them from themselves, dealing with certain players not being available and filling in with somebody else, like he's doing a really good job. And I think he deserves a lot of credit for that because we're playing 3 games a week. It's difficult out here. And he's also introducing new players into the team and a new system. And I think he's doing really well with that while we're playing well and getting points. So yeah, Mikel's doing a really good job and he is maturing, which Luis Diaz, 1-0. Yeah, crazy. Let's see. Bayern 1-0. Kevin says, big up from Kenya, Jess. Trossard has been really impressive so far. He okay. Trossard, you guys know how I feel about Trossy. I love Trossy. I just think that he's not necessarily a starter in our team, but he's starting right now and he's doing well. Obviously, he's not exactly what you're dying for left wing. You'd obviously want, a Semenyo or, whatever, because we were all having like dreams of Rodrigo's and other types of players being in this team. But for what Trossard was meant to come in and do and what he's achieved since he's been here, there's really no way that you can say that he hasn't been a successful signing. And he's having a really good season so far. LFC misses Diaz. I think he was very underrated. And I even think by myself too. But this front line, this Kane, Olise, Luis Diaz front line, I said it before and I'll say it again. I think it's the best front 3 in Europe right now. They just have everything that you need. They're not missing anything. They have a striker that can also create. They have the best, if not one of the best right wingers in world football on form right now. Luis Diaz, best left wing in the world, like right now on form. Like they're so good. Marlon says Liverpool did value Diaz. They didn't want to pay him what he was worth. And Rohan says now our defense can shut that. Well, we will see because it's coming up. So we will see. We will see. Chola says, indeed, we're getting spoiled. How is it that we are getting pissed just because we think our clean sheet streak is lost? I mean, I had to look at myself in the mirror and I was like, you need to calm down because you're getting a little bit too attached to the clean sheets because I was, oh my gosh, I can't believe we just gave up that penalty. It's like 3-0, by the way, in the 83rd minute. Nothing is happening, but yeah. It just would have been a consolation. Nasir says this Arsenal team will go into the history books. John says, Jess, you need to watch the games. I feel like we're robbing you of your time. No, you're not robbing me of my time. I just wanted to make sure that I at least popped on and we chit-chatted a little bit. This was going to be a shorter one, so we are going to kind of wrap it up here. But obviously, more content to come. I will be doing post-match like pre-recorded for both of the games. So look out for those, support those, get into the comments. But we will definitely talk. Let's see. We'll talk before Sunderland, and me and Deluded are doing a show. It's already been confirmed, and then I'll be on Judge Mo's on Thursday as well. So we will definitely talk. Make sure you guys like this video and subscribe to the channel, and we'll talk to you guys on the next one. Bye, guys.